started off, he started off in the Marine Corps, carried the colors for the president, led the Marine Corps silent drill team, did phenomenal things, and would have a lifestyle in the military that most people would dream of, but he just had bigger dreams than what the military could offer. And he was given this opportunity to be able to do something significant, not just for himself, but for his family. And coming into business with us and been in business over 20 years, not only has he done something significant, but he's also been able to help develop and build other people to do significant things for themselves and for their families. So our last speaker this evening is going to be one of my personal mentors in business, Mr. Dan Charlier. And there's Dan. And our first speaker, who I'm going to introduce second, is actually he actually had a background as a mechanic, and like Dan, had very humble upbringings, and I'm sure he'll share with you that story. And he started off as a mechanic, and here's one thing he realized really quick. Yeah, I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life. I mean, how many of you guys went to work, and this is one of my favorite stories, hope I'm not stepping on his feet. He says, you're at work, you feel like you've been there for like 5 hours, and it's only been about 5 minutes. And he just realized there was so much more he wanted to be able to do, not only for himself, but also in his community, right? Wanting to be able to show people better opportunities, more things that are available to them than just what you see. And he's been able to come into our business and be a part of one of the larger organizations within our company, been able to do great things for himself and his family, and like Dan, been able to mentor and help develop many other individuals in our business. And so for our first speaker, and handing the baton over to him, I'd like to introduce to you as Mr. Paul Hart. Go ahead and take it away, Paul.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Appreciate the introduction, and we're excited here as we close out the year of 2020 to get right into it and share with you our business opportunity that's changed our life. You know, I'm going to share with you a little bit, but we ask that you look at this through 2 sets of eyes. Number one, from a client's perspective, that's going to be the part that I'm going to share. If you happen to be able to benefit from some of the services, which I haven't found many people that could not, we definitely want you to communicate with the person that invited you here this evening. And also from a business perspective, you kind of got to taste the food before you open up the restaurant, so to speak. So we want to share with you first what we do, and if you believe in what we do, maybe the business opportunity will be the trajectory that you need for the year 2021 to completely change your life around, as it did for me. I'm just a story of common sense. So, but if you happen to also know somebody, maybe it's not for you, maybe it is, but I guarantee you're going to know somebody. We ask that you refer those down to the people that invited you here this evening. So, as I said, my story is a story of common sense. That's some pictures of me, my sister, my family. You know, my dad told me, like everybody else, just like my mom told me, go to school, get good grades, get a good job. And you try to do that until you start to realize there really is no such thing as a good job, because they're always going to pay you less than what you're worth if another man or woman tells you what your paycheck's going to be. And so I never knew where I was going to go. But I figured when I got introduced to this business, you'd be hard-pressed to find a financial professional who doesn't do well financially. I don't know if anybody's ever born thinking they want to get into financial services, but I believe we all want to do better financially. And to the same extent, you wouldn't find many dentists that have messed up teeth. You wouldn't find many mechanics whose cars are always broken down. So you wouldn't find many financial professionals that don't do well financially. And that just made a lot of sense to me. How many of you, I'm sure I'm not the only one, we have a lot of people on this call, you would drive to the affluent neighborhoods, the homes on the hills, the beautiful houses. I live here in the Silicon Valley, overlooking the Silicon Valley. And I remember as a teenager getting my driver's license, I used to go up there and kind of sell myself the vision, sell myself the dream. And I wanted to find out, what do these people do for a living? And they would eventually kick me off their property, and nobody ever gave me a helping hand and say, oh, young man, you want to have a home like this? You want to have a view like this? I will coach you. I will mentor you. I will show you how to do it. I remember being as a mechanic, dirt under my fingernails when I came to this meeting. I would work on cars that I would never be able to own myself because of the money that I was making. I would literally drive those beautiful cars around the parking lot just to God to ask like they were mine. And I never had anybody say, young man, you want to have an automobile like that? I never had anybody coach me. Then I got into this business invited by a friend of mine, Eric Olson, And they told me all these things, and I thought I was on candid camera, but they mentioned everything that I wanted in my life. I wanted education. I wanted to live, have more, do more, become more. And they introduced me to this opportunity here. So I'm going to share with you that. But they also told me that leaders are readers, and they told me to read a book by the name of Think and Grow Rich, which was written by Napoleon Hill in the early 1900s. The premise behind that book was to find a millionaire, do exactly what they do, and you're likely to have what he or she has. He interviewed everybody, different people from walks of life, different industries. They accumulated wealth at different times. And the one common denominator, they all own their own business. And in order for us to become successful financially, we have to find somebody who's been there, who's done that, assuming they didn't inherit the money, they didn't win the lottery, and they did it legally and ethically, which I hope that's important to everybody. I'm sure it is. And if that's the case, if we can have the first slide here, let me ask you this. Who was the first person that you learned about money from growing up? Or the first people that we learn about money from growing up? And I bet the answer is our parents. My question is, what if your parents don't know anything about money? What if your parents retire in their 70s kind of struggling and they're not where they need to be? Then it becomes the blind leading the blind. Now, I learned all the things that are more valuable than money, in my opinion, from my parents, as I'm sure a lot of you did. How to be a good man, how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, how to have a great work ethic, how to be honest in my dealings with people. And in my opinion, those things are more valuable than money, but we didn't congregate here tonight to talk about that. We came here to talk about finance and career. And if you don't have a mentor in your life going into 2021, we might be the solution and can offer you that opportunity. Consider these questions. Do you know someone that can benefit from this message? I'm sure you're going to know a ton of people. We found ourselves in a pandemic, in a situation where people can benefit from what we have now more than ever, and they were always able to benefit. Can this information help you, your family, or your friends financially? And are you intrigued by the business? Can other people benefit from this? And are you intrigued by it? So if I can have the next slide, please. So we're going to go into that. I'm going to go into probably the 20 or 30-year plan on how to get financially ahead, and then Dan's going to show you how to shave years and years off of that. But we have strength on our side, as Mr. Paul, not me, but Michael Paul, mentioned, $500 million in assets. We're owned by a company called Aegon, and they purchased a company called Transamerica out of San Francisco, right up the way here in the Bay Area, to kind of brand their presence in the United States. We are the marketing arm for Aegon and Transamerica. If I can have the next slide. So we're not a spring chicken. We've been here for a while. Now, what makes us unique is that we don't just offer the companies that Aegon owns, and we don't just offer Transamerica. And I love that because we have something called a money menu, or a strengthened selection. There's a company called Everest, one of the best funeral planning and concierge services. I'm sure you all heard of Nationwide, Pacific Life, the whale jumping in the ocean. I used to watch football and all these athletic sports, and I would see these commercials, but I never understood what they did because nobody ever shared them with me. Transamerica, we see them in movies, but we don't know what they do. So what we do is we represent our clients to the various companies and make them compete to give our clients the best services that are available. We don't represent our company to the clients. We represent our client to various companies. It would be the same as going to, let's say, a Mercedes-Benz dealership. Mercedes-Benz would never say that BMW or Audi is better, or Porsche if we're speaking on German engineering. That's the mechanic in me, I guess. However, what if you went to a luxury car dealership and they had everything on there? They would look for your best interest and not have to sell anything. And that's what we do. We want to find out what is the need. There is a gray area in finance. There is no black and white. This is always right. This is always wrong. We got to make sure we fill that gray area. Fixed annuities, life insurance, index universal life, long-term care. Let me ask you this. How many people here know what an annuity is and how it works? How many people know how an annuity can differ from a pension? A lot of us don't know. So we go to school and learn how to make a paycheck, but nobody tells us what to do with the paycheck after we make it. There's some highly educated folks that the one education they don't have is the financial education, and that could be worth $1 million premium in your life over the time. So what are some of the cornerstones? Protection. We want to protect our family, protect our assets, protect our money. Growth. We want to grow our assets, grow our money. Safety. I want to make sure that if something was to happen, my money is protected. I can keep all the gains that I've gotten, and I don't have to just, kind of cover my eyes when I open up my retirement envelope. And then tax advantages. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's get to the next slide, please. Okay, let's talk about some of the rules. There's 3 rules to money. Let me ask you a question. If you were to go into a game and you don't know the rules, what are the chances of winning? What if you were playing against an opponent that not only knows the rules, they also know the strategy, and you have the short end of the stick? Well, that's how a lot of us, even though we're in the freest country in the world, you know, they call it the land of the free, the home of the brave, yet nobody's free and everybody's afraid. You know, because we are playing at a disadvantage. Our company's goals, like they did for me, is to equal the playing field, to bridge the wealth gap so that everybody can have an opportunity. Our company judges people from the inside out. We don't have high minimums. There's companies, nothing against them. You heard of companies like a Charles Schwab, like a Merrill Lynch, great firms. But they never knocked on my father's door. They never knocked on my door. They never came to help me because we didn't have the minimums to invest with them. They didn't provide us this education. This is the one company, and that's why I'm so loyal to this firm, because when I had nothing, I had bubble gum and spit in my bank account or in my wallet. This was the company that was going to help me, educate me, and it became a discipline. It became a habit. Small savers become big savers, and I got really turned on by this first rule. This rule is called the Rule of 72, and Albert Einstein popularized it, called it the Law of Compound Interest. The 8th wonder of the world, I'll share with you why. He said you take the interest rate you're making on your money, you divide that into 72, that'll tell you how long it'll take your money to double. Now, Albert Einstein's a smart guy. I could ask, why 72? Why did they use that number? But then again, I don't know how electricity works. I just flick on the light and it works, right? So this has worked for us over the 16 years that I've been here. Now, let's say where's the first place that comes to mind, or where we're taught to save our money? I'm sure you would agree, put your money in the bank like a lot of our parents told us, right? So what kind of an interest rate does the bank give us? Next to nothing. I'm going to be very generous and say 1%, as you see on the left side. So how do we know how that money's going to compound? 1 goes into 72 times, the money would double every 72 years. So a 29-year-old, for example, deposits $10,000. 72 years later, at 101 years old, they have 20 grand. Now let's be honest. That's nothing to be happy about. And that's, by the way, bank accounts are paying 0.25, 0.35, 0.5. So you can only imagine what that's going to accrue to. Let's say we move up the ladder, maybe we get a CD. Back when interest rates were high, but CDs aren't even paying 4% anymore. How does that work? 4 goes into 72 18 times. So the money would double every 18 years. Same 29-year-old, 10,000. 18 years later, the 10 doubles to 20. That individual is now 47 years old. 18 years later after that, the 20 doubles to 40. And at 65, they have 40 grand. What's the significance of 65? It used to be retirement, when a company would retire you and there was actually pensions. But now what they did was companies started to realize that these pensions are way too expensive, so they started to phase them out. And in 1979, they came up with the 401k. So employees have the illusion that we're being provided for our retirement, when really it's just an empty account with your name on it. You got to put your own money in. And then they give you a 1-800 number and say, figure it out on your own. And that's why we have people in this rat race. But the average 401k in America has less than 50 grand. And I can imagine it's probably less now during the pandemic. So when we put our money in the bank, what does the bank do? I used to ask myself, I used to watch DuckTales and some of they have the little, collecting dust in the vault. And I wanted to find out. But you know what I found out? The banks don't have much money in the bank because they're always lending money out. Car loans, home loans, credit card loans. What's their big ticket item that they want to keep people in debt with? Credit cards, right? So when we look at credit cards, what's the average interest rate? I remember going to college, there would be a hot day, they give you a free ice cold bottle of water. You got to sign up for something. And what am I signing up for? A credit card. My first credit card was like a 32% interest rate. You can borrow money from the mafia cheaper than that. You get what I'm saying? So but I don't know the rule of 72. I'm a broke college kid. I got free money on a credit card, and next thing you know, I'm caught up in the trap. So let's just say they're not charging 32. Let's just say they're lending it out at 10%. How does that work? 10 goes into 72 7.2 times. We'll say 7. So the money's going to double every 7 years for the bank. Where if I'm in a CD at 4%, it's doubling every 18 years for me. So I put my money at 4% or worse, less. They take my money, lend it out, same 29 at the 10%, same 10,000, but doubling every 7 years. By the time 65 turns around for me, how much money is in that account? 320,000. The question is, whose account is that? Is that my account, or is that the bank's account? Whose asset is that? Well, because I didn't know The bank cuts me my check for $40,000 out of the $320 that should have been mine. They pocket the $280 or the lion's share of the money, and I think I got ahead. Ignorance is bliss, I guess, till I came here and I realized that was supposed to be mine. So I came here and I tried to claim my sevenfold return. So my question is this, it's a commonsensical question. Would you rather put your money in the bank or where the bank puts it? And why do we not? Now, what if the interest rate is on your debt is working harder than the interest rate that you're earning? Well, then your debt's going to compound faster than your money, and you're never going to get out of that vicious cycle. It's purely mathematics, and we got to learn the rules. If I can have the next slide. Now, the second thing is how are we going to park our money? What's the strategy we're going to use to grow our money? And there's three real main strategies, two of which people are familiar with. One, my experience is many people don't know about. One is fixed. So when you put your money in, it looks safe at the far left, right? It's not going anywhere. But what happens when the cost of living goes up? What happens when water, bread, gas, housing, everything goes up and my money is flatlined? It looks like it's safe, but there's something called purchasing power risk, which is inflation. So these are not good to grow your money. Those are more accounts to preserve your money if you're elderly and you saved your whole life. But I see kids' college money sitting in there. I see people's retirement money sitting in there. And it's not the best place. It's really not as safe as it looks. Let's move up the ranks here. We got variable. Variable looks just like it is. It's a heart monitor. Your emotions are tied to your money more than we understand. And when the stock market goes up, our money goes up. When the pandemic hits, man, it evaporates quickly. Then it comes back up. Now we're looming on 2021. No, Lord knows what's going to happen. We just came out of the wake of 2008 where boomers were trying to retire, and it pulled the rug out from under them. Can anybody predict the market regardless of what the news says? No. Is there anything wrong with variable? No. Should you have all your eggs in that basket and you have no idea how it works? Probably not. That's that gray area. The majority of people's assets are tied into variable accounts, and their strategy is to hope and keep their fingers crossed there's going to be money in there when they get to retirement. And I've been told by a mentor of mine that hope is not a strategy. Let's go to the next one, index. Index is a hybrid of both. So when it's tied to a stock index, generally they use the S&P 500. They can use a variety of them. When the market goes up, your money goes up. When the market crashes, you'll never lose. You actually lock in the gain. And when it goes back up, you'll start to excel from there. And then when it crashes again, inevitably, you'll lock in the next gain. And it's a stairway to heaven. So here's a question. What if you can get market type returns with no risk? Would you still accept the risk? Or maybe we just don't understand. You got to get together with the person that invited you. And if I can have the next slide, please. So now the last rule is taxation, because as we all know, it's not what we make, it's what we get to take home at the end of the day, right? If you look at your check, you got gross and you got net. Generally, the gross on our paychecks are pretty gross. That's why they call it gross. Or why do they call it take-home pay? When you look at your paycheck, it says take-home. Why? Because where else are you going to go with it? You already know it's spent before you even get to the house anyway. The only place you can go with it is to the house, right? But let's talk about how we can get some advantages in our life. There's 3 ways to register your investment. Tax now. This is where you're taxed on an annual basis. For every 5 steps you take forward, you take a couple of steps back in taxes. You really don't get a chance to get ahead. What if you're getting minimal interest and getting taxed on that on an annual basis? I promise you, for us to be ignorant, other people prosper. So it's time to wake up and educate America. I love it. Next, tax later. These are your 401ks, what everybody's in, 403bs, 457s, IRAs, you name it. You pay taxes later when you pull your money out. So you don't pay taxes now, so they basically feed off everybody's immediate gratification, and then you pay taxes later when you pull the money out. Here's a question. Stimulus packages going on with the pandemic, the trillions and trillions of dollars we're in debt, the so-so security, not social, so-so security crisis that we're in, the Medicare crisis or the healthcare crisis, the bailouts, the wars. Who's going to pay for all that money? Who's going to pay for all that debt? Taxpayers. So would it be advantageous or intelligent for us to pool the majority of our money into an account where we have no control over the tax consequences later on in the future? See, if we were going to go into business with each other, let's say it was a 50-50 partnership. I just want you to consider this. It's a 50-50 partnership, except in my documentation, it says I can change my share at any time I want. Would you go into a 50-50 partnership? Well, sometimes going into partnerships with the IRS might not be to your advantage. Now let's talk about the last one, tax advantages. AKA, I like to just keep it simple and say tax never if you do it the right way. You can put money in, let the money grow, and the money comes out tax-free. If you had a choice, would you rather pay taxes on the $1 million crop or on that little bag of seeds and then get all the apples, all the harvest out tax-free? And there's solutions to that most people don't even realize. What if you can get market-like returns, not lose any money and capture all the gains, and then access your money tax-free? I mean, it was a no-brainer even for a mechanic. Even a mechanic can figure that one out, and that's what made me here 16 years. You know what I found out, folks? We're not the only ones that don't know. If I can have the last slide. We're not the only ones that don't know. Hardly anybody knows. And once I realized that, that's an opportunity. If there's a supply that's limited and there's a massive demand, you couldn't have found yourself in a better time for our demand. Think about it. What do we take care of? We protect people's income, we protect people's health, and we protect people's money. What is everybody worried about right now? Their income, their health, and their money. So I'm not here to say this is the right place at the right time. Common sense proves it. The biggest New Year's resolutions are to lose weight, to start a new career, and to start finally getting your finances in order. Well, I'm no personal trainer, but I can whip you into shape if I need to, but we can get you into financial shape, and we can help you with the other two. So let's talk about our roadmap. Let's say you were to drive from here to New York. Dan probably knows his way. He's from New York, but I'm not. So what if I was to get into it? I'm going to ask this to the ladies because you already know the guys. We're just going to hop in the car and figure it out. But let's just say, what are you going to want? I used to say a map. Maybe I'm from the old school. I guess you use Google Maps now and GPS, right? So you're going to have a global positioning sensor because if you don't have a map, if you don't have some kind of a direction, what will happen? You'll waste a whole lot of time. You'll waste a whole lot of money, and you may never get to your destination. Isn't that the truth? Right? So what if you don't have a roadmap or a needs analysis to get to financial freedom, to get to financial independence? I didn't say retirement because I'm not just going to sit there and watch TV all day. I just want to get to a place where I'm working because I want to work, not because I have to work. Isn't that a better place where you can work with passion? We call that financial independence. We have 6 steps to that. Number 1 is cash flow. I believe cash flow is probably the most important thing. Let me ask you this. Would an extra $2,000 or $3,000 resolve a lot of your financial situations? Absolutely, right? So imagine that we can help earn additional income, manage expenses at no risk to your current career. Dan will talk about that. Next, emergency fund. Save at least 3 to 6 months income to prepare for unexpected expenses, to prepare for an unexpected pandemic, to prepare for anything. We've been preaching this before there was a COVID-19. You gotta prepare the time. As a matter of fact, I just repaired my roof because the rain's coming in. There was a little tile that was off. There's an old saying, the time to repair the roof is when the sun is still out. That's exactly what I did today, by the way. I had to fix that because it would have leaked in my daughter's room. Emergency funds, not if, but when. Which brings me to number 3, but what is normally our emergency fund? That little piece of plastic, which leads us to number 3, debt management. We want to get rid of debt. The number 1 cause of stress in America is money problems and debt. The number 1 cause of disease is stress. The number 1 cause of divorce is debt and stress. So we're not just talking about driving Ferraris and all that. We're talking about retaining the American family so that we can strengthen our communities and grow from there. We got to get folks out of debt. Next, proper protection. Let me ask you this. If there was a money machine and I could push a button on that money machine, you can push a button on that money machine and it would produce legal tender cash for your family. My question is, would you protect that machine? And the answer is yes. Rottweiler on one side, Pitbull on the other side. You have a couple cameras. You have cameras watching the cameras, right? Why is that? So when I sit with the family, I normally ask them, how much protection do you have on the money machine of this family? Because the wife as a breadwinner is a money machine. The husband as a breadwinner is a money machine. You know what they normally say? You normally hear crickets, and they start speaking in vowels. Hey, they don't know. But we know about our car insurance, we know about our homeowner's insurance, but we don't know about the thing that to protect the most important part of our life, which is our family. You know, it's just so important, I can't even explain it. My mom and dad are both deceased with no life insurance. Thank goodness there was a financial professional that was raised in that house through the process of WFG, or else we'd have been in shambles. Next, build wealth. over time, not get rich quick, outpace inflation, reduce your taxes, and have professionals managing your money. And then last but not least, let's preserve that. Let's keep the IRS off of our back. Let's make sure we transition that to the next generation and start to create generational wealth. I'm a big believer in we should pass wealth down to the next generation to prepare them for the future. Property, land, and companies, and also wealth, money. So let's talk about that. And I want to share with you, I want to bring up, so let me ask you this, which one, if not all of them, are the most important? I think you know the answer is all of them. But I want to share with you how to supercharge it with the next speaker. We're going to give you some information that literally you should buckle your seatbelts for. And this gentleman here, a Marine, not only did he protected our country. Thank you, Dan, for doing so to give us the opportunity that we have today. But now he's out there protecting families and giving entrepreneurs an example and something to aspire to become. When I first came to the company, I didn't know if there was anybody that could really relate to me or kind of understand where I was coming from. And then I met this man on a national stage. I didn't meet him. I just seen him on a national stage. And he fired me up. His confidence, his belief. He's a man of faith, family, and obviously finances. You heard he came from Haiti. And now he's in one of the most recognized zip codes in all of America. But I won't put him on blast like that. Just know it's a wealthy area. So, Dan, I want to pass it to you. Thank you. And take it away, my friend. Can't wait to hear from you.
Hey, Paul, first of all, I want to tell you, man, I get so fired up hearing you speak, man. It's just like incredible. You and Gabby and Team Alpha Elite Leadership, your leadership team, you guys are just doing incredible things. And, you know, as you were speaking, Paul, and I don't know if you ever take the time to think about this, I went on Google and I pulled up how much mechanics make in the U.S. And it said $38,000 to $52,000 a year is what a mechanic makes. And I just want to tell you, man, I'm just so proud of you, so proud of Gabby, and the life that you created. Once you saw this opportunity 17 years ago, and now to be in the top 1% of earners in the U.S., only in America, man. That's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Not everybody makes it though, Paul. Not everybody makes it. But man, you made it, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. So I'm so excited to be on the call with you guys tonight. There's actually, I'm going to jump right into it. There's actually 3 questions that should be answered for you tonight. Some of you are looking at the opportunity for the first time. Some of you are agents with World Financial Group in different teams, and some of you are part of Synergy Financial. So there's only 3 questions that should be answered for you tonight. Question number 1, is this a credible company? And Paul did a great job going over the credibility of our company. I think that was something that was really important to me when I first looked at the opportunity back in 1998. I came from a Marine Corps background. I was in the Marines for 13 years. Did a lot of cool stuff in the military. You know, I was a drill instructor from 1991 to 1993 down at Parris Island, 3rd Battalion. Then from there, I got selected to be the 23rd Color Sergeant Marine Corps, which I was entrusted in carrying the colors at the White House for the Clintons. That was fun. That was cool. At all the state dinners, all the state functions, got a chance to see a lot of cool stuff. And in 1995, the Marine Corps asked me to take over the #1 drill team in the world, which is the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. And man, we had a great time going through all 50 states doing shows. But, you know, when I looked at this opportunity in 1998, you know, I started on a part-time basis. And my goal was just wanted to make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Actually, it wasn't even that much because I was making $3,000 a month in the military as a gunnery sergeant after 12 years. And I was looking at making an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And I was excited about the opportunity. But one of the things that in 1999, after doing the business part-time for like 10 months, I walked away from my military career, 7 years away from my retirement. All my buddies told me I was crazy to get out. I was chasing this dream. I told them they were crazy to stay in. But one of the things that was important to me was the credibility. I wanted to be part of something long-term, and I've been here for 22 years now. And just as excited right now as I was excited back in 1999 when I went full-time. The second question that should be answered for you is, I think, is the crusade, financial literacy. I remember the first time that I saw the Rule 72, what Paul Hart talked about, and I saw the high cost of waiting, and I saw all these financial concepts. And I was 32 years old. I gotta be honest with you guys, is that and I thought I was a pretty smart guy when I started seeing these financial concepts. And I realized that mathematically, it was impossible for you to achieve financial independence if you didn't know the rules of the game. And I remember I felt compelled. I was just like, man, everybody I know needs to see this information. And I think over the 10-month period of educating families, what happened was the business went from my head to my heart, and then I went full time. And I tell you, I think about this opportunity now. I have friends in all different industries that are extremely successful. And when I tell them about our opportunity, I said, man, when I got started, it cost me $100 to get started here. Still blows me away till today. I was just like, man, to have an opportunity like that where I can start part-time. If we go to the first slide, we take a look at the opportunity. So there's no financial service experience necessary. So like when Paul was talking about the money concepts and all these different things, you guys, the first time that I saw this, I didn't understand any of it. It was like someone was speaking a different language to me. But, I was grateful because I didn't have to have a financial service experience necessary. I was able to start part-time. I didn't have to leave my military job. I was able to do it part-time in the military. When I was full-time in the military, I was able to do this part-time. There's no time clock here. We're entrepreneurs. We're 1099 independent contractors, which is awesome, In 2008, we got a chance to see that our business was actually recession-proof. Our business exploded. We had a lot of momentum in 2008. And during this COVID in 2020, one of the things that we got a chance to see that our business is pandemic-proof, because there's always people looking for an opportunity and looking for a real business opportunity, which is awesome. Unlimited earning potential. I remember the first time my mentor said to me, this is back in 1999, he said, Charlie, you don't have to believe this. You don't have to believe it. But let me ask you a question. What would it feel like if you turn your annual income into a monthly one? Man, I remember I couldn't even sleep that night. I was so excited. I was like, man, what would life be if I could turn my annual income into a monthly one? And I remember when it happened, and I was just so excited. Man, that was unbelievable, right? Leadership development and mentoring business models. I think one of the biggest things is that with success, you first have to decide. It's a decision. You got to decide. I remember in 1998, I was scared. I remember my mentor talking to me about the opportunity, and I was like, man, can I really do it? Can I really achieve my dreams? But I had this burning feeling inside, man. I was just, I didn't want to be, I just didn't want to be average. There's nothing wrong with being average, but I was just tired of being tired. I got to that point at 32 years old. I was working 16, 17-hour days, 7 days a week. When I was a drill instructor, I did that for 2 years straight. Then when I went to the White House, it was like jumping out the frying pan into the fire. I had no time at all. And when I figured out how much I was making an hour, I was making $6 an hour. Here I am at the White House, you guys, where at the White House's state dinners, and I'm making $6 an hour. And on part-time, I was working construction part-time. I was doing all these different things part-time. And at 32, I just got tired of being tired. And I met the right person at the right time, which was my mentor, a gentleman by the name of Ed Milet. And he shared with me this opportunity. And I didn't know whether I could do it or not, but I was like, what do I have to lose? I get a world-class education on financial literacy. I get a world-class education in business, but more importantly, I get a chance to associate with someone that's extremely successful. He was 29 years old at the time. He was making over $50,000 a month, which I thought at that time was like, who makes $50,000 a month, right? Very rarely you meet someone that makes $50,000 a month that's willing to invest in you and teach you how to do that. We have that here. You got strength on your side. You got all the biggest companies, the power of choice, business expansion. As we're talking tonight, we have people in all 50 states that are listening to this opportunity right now. We have a system, you know, right here in my library, in my study room at my home, you know, right here, we have a business format system. So guess what that means? We have a system where you don't have to knock on doors. You don't have to do cold calls. You don't have to send out flyers. You don't have to buy leads. We've got a system here that's a duplicatable system, regardless of what your background is, whether you were in the military, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a nurse, everybody's got a shot here. Equal opportunity for all, a diversified field force. It doesn't matter whether you're white, you're black, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're skinny, you're a woman, you're a man. Tonight, you got a chance to see 3 bald black guys talking, but you don't have to be black and bald in order to do that. We have all different types of people here that are winning here, growing the underserved market. That was one of the things that went straight to my heart when we see there's a big difference between making a difference and fixing an indifference. If you look at the stats right now, the IRS put out a publication. They said 93.8% of Americans retire in poverty, right? Retire in poverty. 73.8%, that means 3 out of 4. 93% makes less than $100,000 a year. 50% of that 93% makes less than $28,000 a year, and the poverty line is $26,000, right? So there's a lot of people right now that are looking for real business opportunity. And one of the things about these uncertain times, I want you to remember that fear sharpens listening. So 9 out of 10 people now, guess what? They're disturbed. They're disturbed about what's going on right now. And if you ask them a question, if I was to talk to you about a serious opportunity, would you listen? The answer is yes. But here's the 3 things that they're looking for. They're saying, and that was the 3 things that I was looking for. Dan, tell me this is a credible company, that this is not one of these fly-by-night, get-rich-quick deals. Tell me there's a crusade. Tell me I want to make a difference. I want to fix an indifference, right? And I want to be an entrepreneur. Most people realize now unemployment's at its highest right now. Most people realize now entrepreneurship is king. That's where it's at. People want to work from home. They've been fortunate the past 11 months that they've been at home. A lot of small businesses are going out of business. And these are things that everybody know now. Now they're disturbed, right? We got the financial needs analysis, affiliated company, world-class recognition. I just did an event for our team, Synergy Financial, and we gave out over 800 awards to new leaders that are starting out, to seasoned leaders from all different walks of life. It was awesome. I felt like it was Christmas. I actually have one of the awards right here on my desk at my home office. Man, just being able to recognize, see, that's one of the things that's really powerful right now, is that we need more example in our communities of people like Paul and Gabby Hart that comes from humble backgrounds. They never made more than $3,000-$4,000 a month. But you know what? Someone shared with them the opportunity. Does everybody make it here? No, everybody does not make it. Why, Dan? I don't know. Everybody that goes to the gym doesn't get in shape. Everybody that goes to combat doesn't come home. But you know what? When I left the military and I came full time, I was just like, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it happen, right? And we got a lot of people that are winning right now. We paid out, our company, World Financial Group, paid out close to $1 billion so far this year, which is incredible. Now, let's go over our compensation a little bit. Now, if you're a senior marketing director, right? And we have promotion guidelines that shows you exactly how to become a senior marketing director. I did it my first 90 days. It's not rocket science, it's common sense. You put in the work and you'll get your promotions. It's not based on whether someone likes you or not. It's not based on politics. We're entrepreneurs here. If you're a senior marketing director, you have your life and securities license with the state of California or whatever state that you're in. The average broker, this is just average. No one knows your name here. You're making $64,000 a year. That's just average. That's just unbelievable, right? When 93% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year. Sometimes people ask me, well, Dan, how long would it take for me to make a 6-figure income here? I said, I don't know. I did it my first year, right? But the question becomes, How long would it take for you to make a six-figure income where you're at? For most people, that's not even an option. You guys, I could have stayed in the military for 30 years. If you go to Google right now and you pull up military pay chart, enlisted, E9, after 30 years, the most amount of money I would have been able to make would have been $7,500 a month. That's after 30 years, right? But if you're a player in that area, you could make up to $1 million a year, like Paul Hart, like you just heard from Paul and Gabby, right? If you're a senior market director, you got your life securities and advisory license, right? The average broker there makes $86,000 a year of 1099 income. If you're a player in that area, guess what? You're making at least a seven-figure income. If you're an executive market director, CEO, executive vice chairman, which means this, you've got ability, not only are you successful, but can you teach other people how to achieve what you've achieved, which is leadership development. Tonight, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for the next wave of leaders. We're looking for people that are great in sales, people that are great teachers, people that are enthusiastic, people that are ambitious, people that are money motivated from diverse backgrounds, that are at a position where whether they want to make a part-time income or whether they want to tee it up and they want to go make a six-figure income, whether they want to tee it up and go make a seven-figure income and go make an eight-figure income. We've got all different types of people that are winning here, right? And we got a platform that allows you to do that. This is our team, Synergy Financial. Our team's name is Synergy Financial. Paul and Gabby's team name is Alpha Elite Leadership. We've got a proven background. We've been doing this. I've been doing this for 22 years. One of the things that when I left the military in 1999, I said, man, I'm going to do one thing for the next 20 to 30 years. And this was that one thing. And we've got leadership. We've got all different types of leaders here from all different backgrounds that we introduced to the company that are making 100, 200, 300, 400, 500,000 a year, 750, $1 million a year. And these are examples of success in our community. Where I'll show you one couple. I'll highlight a couple couples, Natalie and Ryan Platt. I remember when I met Natalie and Ryan Platt. Ryan was actually a pizza delivery guy, and Natalie was working for Bose. They were 21 years old when I met them. They've been in business with me now for over a decade. I think they've been in business with me now for over 14 years. They have an incredible life, an incredible family. They're making over $250,000 a year with us. They travel the world. They live their dreams, and they do things on their terms, which is what's awesome about being an entrepreneur. They have an awesome team, great couple. Then you got Nikki and Kermit Cannon. Nikki graduated from USC. She worked at monsters.com. Kermit is a strength and conditioning coach. Really good friends. They've been with me in business for over 10 years now. They make over $300,000 a year. Listen to this, you guys. They travel 3 to 4 times a year. Just like incredible. They have all their time. They get a chance to spend a lot of good times. They actually always come over the house, and we always have a great time, which is totally awesome. Then we got Jay and Ronnie Garfield. Jay was working as a firefighter like myself. I was a firefighter in the Marine Corps. And Ronnie was going to school to become a psychologist. They got started with me when they were 20. Jay was 21, and I believe Ronnie was like 24, right? They've been in business with us now for less than 10 years. They're over $500,000 a year with Team Tenacity over here in California. They're just doing incredible things. We got a lot of people that are doing just great things. I just wanted to highlight some of the leaders here. But there's 3 types of people tonight. Some of you are looking at it, you're already financially independent, right? And you're saying, well, wait a minute, Dan, you need to tell me someone will sit down with me, a licensed professional will sit down with me and take a look at all my life insurance, my 401ks, my 403bs, my deferred comp. They'll take a look at all my finances and see. One of the powerful things about our industry is constantly evolving industry. So some of the products that are available now were not available 10 years ago. Whether it's long-term care, whatever it is that you have, whether it's that, we'll provide that value for you complimentary for free. Now you say, well, Dan, there's got to be something in it. Why would you do it for free? You know, one of the things that we dominated the industry with was word of mouth referral. If you do a good job, and people really see value in what it is that you did for them, not as far as the products, as far as the financial education, they feel compelled to introduce you to everyone you know. So everyone here that's listening to this now, at the least, take a look at the financial needs analysis. Get with a financial professional and say, hey, I need someone to sit down with me and put a financial game plan, and we'll do that for you complimentary for free. And all the household names, whether it's Pacific Life, whether it's Transamerica, whether it's Voya, whether it's Nationwide, we got access to all the companies and all their products, and we represent you to an industry versus representing a company and a product to a client. Now, some of you that are listening, you're like me, you're like Paul, right? Where you might have a job. I didn't hate my job. I loved being a Marine. Matter of fact, in 1998, when you met me, if you met me in 1998, I would told you, hey, I'm going to do this for the next 30 years. If you cut me, I bleed green. I never thought I would get out the Marine Corps, but I was frustrated. I wanted to make an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month. I have a mom in New York. She was still working 16-hour days, 6 days a week. I grew up with a single mom in Brooklyn, New York, and I thought to myself, and the most that I could send my mom when I was in the military was $130 a month, and that's after 12 years. And I had a conversation with my mom, and I said, Mom, how much money do you need on a monthly basis where you can work because you want to, not because you have to? She says, I don't know, baby, maybe about $2,000 a month. And man, that bothered me. That bothered me. I said, like, man, here I am. I'm working hard. I'm a good person. And I can't even take the financial pressure off my mom. And I thought about, man, my mom immigrated from a third world country, you guys, with $20 in her pocket and came to the United States by herself and with a dream of making enough money to send for me. And I didn't meet my mom till I was 9 years old. And here I am in the land of the free and the home of the brave. I looked at this opportunity. I said, man, if the least that I can do is make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and being able to take that financial pressure off my mom, man, I'll be happy. And I did that in 1999. So my mother just turned 78 years old, and she hasn't had to work. She hasn't had to work for money since 1999. She's so excited. I was talking to her last week, and we talk every other morning. And she's like, baby, I'm so grateful during this COVID. I have so many friends that are struggling. And she's just like, I'm so grateful that you're able to take care of me, and you've been taking care of me since 1999. Some of you are looking for something part-time. It might not be your mom. It might be your situation that an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month can make a big difference for your family. You got an opportunity to do something part-time. Some of you are on the call right now. You're entrepreneurs. You got a couple of $1 million saved. You're thinking about buying a McDonald's. You're thinking about buying a franchise. You're thinking about buying a building. And you're saying, well, wait a minute, Dan, you mean to tell me I could become a business owner here and I could become an investor? I don't have to write a check for $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. You know, my wife is German, right? And when she came to the United States 3 years ago, she came as an investor in the United States, which means that she had to invest in a business. So she and her business partner wrote a check for $300,000 to buy a restaurant in California. 2 years later, they had to shut down the restaurant because of the fires. And then when she looks at this opportunity, she's like, babe, I cannot believe that people have an opportunity for like $100 they're able to start. So she understands this from a business owner standpoint. And if you're a business owner and you're looking for an opportunity where you can go make a high 6-figure income, a 7-figure income, an 8-figure income in this industry, we brought a new idea to an old industry, and the goal is to revolutionize that industry. If you've got that fire in your belly, whether you're a baby boomer, whether you're a Generation X, or whether you're a millennial, man, we're looking for some sharp people that want to make a difference. You know, over the span of the last 22 years, I've interviewed thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You know, the number one thing that we look for is that you got a good heart, that you're a good person, and you want to make a difference in our communities. There's so many people. So if you're competitive, if you're competitive like myself, man, we got an opportunity. We got a big stage. We got a big stage for you. We're very, very big on recognition. If you want to be part of a team, you want to be part of an environment, you want to be part of a culture, we've got an unbelievable culture here. If you're a person that you just want to do good, you just want to make a difference for people. It's not about the money for you. You want to feel that your life has purpose, your life has meaning. And I can't tell you how many times I sit there and I think about it. I hear these stories and I'm just like, man, that's so incredible. You know, when you listen to Paul and Gabby Hart, man, 17 years ago, this guy was a mechanic, was working with his hands, was a mechanic. Now, what he used to make a year, he's making a month. That's so profound when you can impact people's lives and generationally through education make a difference. So that's what we're looking for. So tonight, you got a chance to see the credibility of our company. You got a chance to see an awesome crusade in financial literacy. And you also got a chance to see an unbelievable opportunity in entrepreneurship, whether you want to do something part-time or whether you're looking for something full-time. And it's an incredible, incredible opportunity. Now, if you look at the signing, right? There's an opportunity for you to do an interview with us. Some of you want to do an interview. We'll interview tonight because we're all at home anyway. We want you to sign up for do an interview. The interview's done within 24 to 48 hours. That means tonight and tomorrow. We wanted you to check that box and interview with us. And tonight we kind of jumped up and down to tell you how great we are. In the interview process, we want you to write down your questions, whatever questions that you have. The person that invited you should also get your email and send you some additional information that we have on our firm. Some of you have partners, some of you are married, some of you are single, and we want to get you that additional information. And any questions that you have, we want you to write those questions down. And during your interview, you're going to have an opportunity for those questions to be answered. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. And we'll be doing another one of these next week. See you guys at the top. Back to you, Michael Paul.
Hey, hopefully you guys were just as excited as I was day one. There's nothing more that I could add to it. I just wanted to give a little bit of logistical information. At the bottom of the page that you're on, there is a link to a Google Sheet. On there, you'll be able to answer the questions in regards to the opportunity, what jumps out at you the most, whether it be the financial plan, providing referrals, or maybe Dan was talking exactly to you and you want to get into the game. You got